Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. Glad to have you guys here. Nice day we're having today. Here, nice and rainy, cold rain down near freezing, just above freezing. So the snow is melting, so it's a nice day. Any day the snow's melting is a nice day. Happy New Year, you guys. I really want to wish you guys a Happy New Year. And you know what? I think this is actually going to be a better year than 2021. 2022, I think, is going to be a better year. I think that we're going to see a receding after the first quarter is over. The first quarter is going to be rough because Omicron's spreading everywhere, you know. But I think we're going to see a receding of the virus in the second quarter. And with the receding of the virus, I think we're going to see things pick up. But the first quarter is going to be rough. It's like this. Sometimes you get a year that starts out really bad at the first quarter. And then it turns out better later. And you're saying, hey, this is a bit of a relief. And we might have a little bit of relief this year later and after the first quarter. But the first quarter, we're going to see markets turn down. We're going to see the whole system turn down. The Fed's going to be sitting there. I'm going to tell you when I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen sometime, probably in around February. The markets are going to start to turn down. And they're going to turn down. At first, it's going to slope off rather slowly, but then it's going to pick up steam. Excuse me. And I think the Fed's going to be sitting back watching as it goes down. 5%, 10% is going to go down. They're going to be sitting back there tentatively watching it and thinking, hey, it's going to turn back up. We can continue tightening. And then it's going to 15%. They're going to start to get really worried. And when it hits 20%, they're going to freak out. They're going to give up someplace just after 20% drop in the markets. They're going to give up and they're going to go back to what they were doing. Well, they should have been staying with what they were doing all along. I said that they should hold the line. It means they shouldn't even try to fight inflation. Because what they're going to do is they're going to create a dip. They're going to artificially create a recession that shouldn't have occurred, and then they're going to have to stimulate us out of the recession. Look out, see? And this is why I'm telling you guys it might be a very nice year for you guys for gold and silver. Because when they turn this thing around, when they turn this ship around, that's when the ship's going to come in for gold and silver. Now, I see some movement in gold and silver in the last day. And, I'm thinking to myself, hey, maybe this has something to do with with this whole thing that was coming in with they have to they can't the way they can count silver under books and gold under books and the derivatives products. They can't count it a full 100% as being. Anyway, that's coming in right now, and that might be part of the reason why we're seeing this uptick in the price of gold and silver. But boy, are we going to see an uptick later in 2022. It's going to be sweet, guys. It's going to be really sweet. And so you guys want to be hanging on to it, because I think that's when all of the big money is going to start to come into the gold and silver, and you're not going to be able to buy it. It's going to be very difficult to buy. But, we're moving toward hyperinflation. And there's an interesting phenomenon that occurs with hyperinflation. It's always occurred with every hyperinflation that's ever occurred through history. Now, this is the first time in history we're going to be having a global hyperinflation of all of the world's fiat currencies simultaneously. But there's this interesting phenomenon that occurs with local hyperinflations. Like in Zimbabwe, right now in Turkey, for instance. They're on the front side. They're in the acceleration phase of a hyperinflation in Turkey right now. You got it in many different countries that have experienced hyperinflation. This interesting phenomenon is they'll always turn to something that retains its purchasing power as a means of exchange in the country that's undergoing hyperinflation. But what does the whole world do if we're going into a worldwide hyperinflation? Well, obviously, they're going to do exactly the same thing. They're going to turn to something that retains its purchasing power. But now if all of the fiat currencies are all going down simultaneously at the same time, they can't reach out like these countries that are experiencing hyperinflation. They might reach out to the US dollar and use it as a means of exchange, something that's holding its purchasing power against a currency that's hyperinflating. But this time they can't. And this time it's the whole world. So I got thinking about this last night. I said, what are they going to turn to? I said to myself, will they turn to cryptocurrencies? I thought about that for a minute. And I said, well, the cryptocurrencies are connected to this monster. The monster is the internet. And the internet can see everything as soon as you log online. As soon as you turn online, it sees everything. Now, in the real world here, the internet can't see nothing. It's like a blind man. It can't see you. Like right now, the internet can see me because I'm turned on. I got a camera on, right? And I'm online, putting this show online. It can see me. It can see what I'm saying. It can know every word I'm saying, and it can analyze it. Using the same technology that they use in facial recognition technology, except it can work in many ways, not just with text. It can work with video. It can listen to the video stream, listen to what I'm saying, right? So it can see me. But when I turn this camera off, turn offline, and I go out for a walk around in the yard out there, it can't see me anymore. Well, it can see all of the cryptocurrencies. They're all online, so this monster, the internet, can see them. It can see you whenever you go online. If you go onto Facebook, it can see you. But when you turn that off and you go in your house and stuff, unless you got a camera set up or something, it can't see you anymore. It can't see real physical gold and silver. This is a big point. This is a very big point. The internet cannot see real physical gold and silver. I got thinking about that for a minute. It can't see cash either. Can't see it. I got thinking about that. For a few minutes, I got thinking about that. And I said to myself, hey, they're going to reach out for a means of exchange. They have to. The world can't go without exchange. You have to have exchange, barter. Unless you're going to go back to barter, you got to have something as a means of exchange. Did you know, just a factoid for you guys, like in cities, like I think it's New York, Tide laundry detergent is used as money on the streets. Many things are used as money, currency, on the streets. There's a thing in the world that's always been around for the history of mankind. It's called the black market. Well, if that were to happen, by gosh, wouldn't they go after gold and silver? The governments would want to force everyone into using their worthless currencies still. Keep them in the worthless currencies, no matter how valueless they become. But at a certain point, these useless fiat currencies stop functioning properly. When you have to pay $1 million for a loaf of bread, and the next day you're only going to get a half a loaf for $1 million, your fiat currencies are not functioning properly at that point. It's called hyperinflation. It's a type of non-functioning of the fiat currencies. They do not function as a means of exchange any longer. But what would? Well, gold and silver certainly would. The real physical. But they can't see it. And this creates a huge problem for them that they will react to. Believe me, they will react to this. They would, if you understand, they've done it before. In the United States, they made gold so that gold was illegal. They did it overnight. You're not allowed to own gold. Well, they did change that. Was it 1971? I think they changed that. Made it legal to own again. But anyway, I can't remember the exact date. But it was for a long time, it was illegal to own gold. They can do that again. And they can do it worldwide. But would that stop? The big question mark that I have, and the big question I'm going to ask now, if a worldwide, caused by hyperinflation, a worldwide black market were to open up for gold and silver, how successful would the government be if they were to confiscate it and make it illegal to own and possess worldwide? How successful would they be if the problem was a worldwide problem and it's something that is like an unseen? Why it's unseen is because obviously that's the whole thing about black markets. They are unseen. So we might be in for something very interesting there if something like that were to happen, you know. And, you know, the setup is there for hyperinflation. Listen, guys, there's a 100% chance of hyperinflation. And the reason why there's a 100% chance it's going to happen is first off, the math indicates that that's the way it has to go. We've seen the dollar lose like over 97% of its purchasing power in the last 100 years or so. Why is that process going to stop? In fact, it's accelerating. And if they try to stop it by tightening, like they're trying to do right now, if they're trying to slow down inflation by tightening and everything else, and tightening up the purse strings, they're just going to create a crash that they have to respond to, because none of the politicians have the kahunas to take the medicine and let the entire system purge of all the malinvestment, because the entire system would break apart. And that they can never let that happen. Just trust me, guys, they can never let that happen, because the system is what supports them. If they let the system break apart, how well are they going to be able to survive themselves in a world where where deflation has stopped the entire system, because it's all credit based. And when you remove the credit, then you remove the funds. When you remove the funds, everybody goes bankrupt. If everybody goes bankrupt, I mean, it's just like one domino falls after another until the system is completely flattened. They're never going to let that happen, because the system supports them in their positions of power. Of course, they're going to continue with that, and that means they're going to have to keep expanding the credit. And they keep expanding the credit, the money's going to become more and more worthless, and at a certain point in time, people lose confidence. And then we're almost to that point. Do you guys realize into this new year how close we are to the system losing confidence in the fiat currencies? We're right on the edge of it. Right on the edge of the precipice. So what happens when that starts to happen? They start to lose confidence in the fiat currencies. What happens next? Boom! A boom happens. That's why they call it the crack up boom. It is because money starts to flow through the system. The velocity of money starts to pick up once the people start to lose confidence. It means they start to spend, by the way. And they're spending into supply side weakness. So, the first quarter we're going to go through this game of silly beggars that the Fed's playing right now, where they're trying to tighten. And they're going to induce a recession, a very short-lived recession, until they come back out again and they change direction. When they change direction, that's when the confidence is going to start to be lost. And that's when we're going to see gold and silver and cryptocurrencies tick upwards in price. And we're not going to see them confiscate it, not right away. No, that's not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is we're going to go into the hyperinflation. Gold and silver are going to go to the moon. They're going to take their moonshot, right? And then we're going to get to a point down the road where the fiat currencies start to cease to function properly. And then by default, people are going to start to use gold and silver as a means of exchange. It's going to happen. And then the government's going to take note, but it's going to be so fast, they're going to switch over and start using this. It's going to be so fast that the government's going to have a chance to respond to that immediately. But they will respond to it. And by responding to it, all they're going to do is just, okay, it's like a train's coming down the tracks, okay? And some guy's out there and he says, I'm going to stop that train with a butterfly net. Yeah, all right, let's see you try. Let's see you try to stop that trade with a butterfly net. That's what the government's going to be trying to stop. When they create a worldwide hyperinflation and people start to use around the world gold and silver as a means of exchange, them trying to stop that is going to be the professor out there trying to stop the train with a butterfly net. It's going to be everywhere. It's going to be everywhere they're not looking. And yeah, I could see that if they wage that war, they're only going to make people want it more. I mean, this is we've already went into craziness a lot. This world's went really crazy, and it's hard to see an awful lot of these crazy things happening ahead of time. But I can see a possibility of this happening and it being one of the craziest things around. Because if people are forced into using gold and silver as a means of exchange, forced into doing it, and everybody's having to do it worldwide. And I mean, it'd be such pitiful little amounts of silver that they'd probably have to try to buy some food with, whatever. And it would all be not, it'd all be illegal. So that means that every single person on earth would be a felon. They'd turn every person on earth, well, I shouldn't say a felon, they'd turn every person on earth into a criminal if they made it illegal and it was worthwhile and everybody was doing it, every single person, because the money's worthless. I mean, I'm just kind of fantasizing about this, but this world's gone so crazy, I could see crazy things like that happening because of all the craziness that's happened in the last year or two. It's like things have gone bananas. I don't know. Uh, what effects viruses might have on the mind? You know, you don't know. But all I know is the world is crazy. And this insanity can yield insane things happening, that things that we never thought of or never saw coming. But anyway, back into the crack up boom part, the boom part. Okay, we're moving into the boom part. And that's the initial stages of the hyperinflation. What happens in that stage is the money starts to move around. And, and so the economy actually starts to pick up with this velocity of money starts to pick up. It's a boom. Money starts to flow through the system again. Money's the lifeblood of the system. But when that money starts to become worthless later, then the crack up boom turns into the crack up side of it. Because it starts to crack up the world and crack up society. We are heading into the crack up boom hyperinflation. And this is the front side of it. The front side of it can last quite a long time because as it slowly accelerates faster and faster. It could be that 2022 is not a bad year at all, guys. It might be 2023 or 2024 that we experience the really negative effects of the hyperinflation. So you got to get right in there and you got to prepare. You got to stay prepared. They've created a kind of a situation now that's dragging out over a period of time, and you don't know when the door is going to close on you. You're better off if you're one day early rather than a day late, because you know you want to have something to eat for your belly. You want to have someplace to sleep that's dry. You don't want to have an empty stomach and be sitting out in the rain and have the system be able to do whatever it wants with you. Scoop you up and cart you off someplace. In some sort of a, well, they used to call them paddy wagons in the old days, you know. You don't want that. You want to have your own little roof, even if you're living in the back of a van down by the river. You remember that thing with on Saturday Night Live, I think it was. He's living in a van, living down by the river. Even if you, but as long as you got a roof over your head and you've got food for your belly and you got a place. This is very important, and this is what hyperinflation can actually do. It can rob you of all of that. If all you got is your bank account right now, I mean, we're all trying to prepare for this up and coming. We see it coming. We saw it coming for years. We're slowly advancing closer and closer to it all the time. I started this show. I thought it would be an awful lot sooner. I thought in the first 2 years of me starting this show that we would be in it and it would be over. And here it's like, that's like 6 years now. And I'm still preaching. I'm still saying it's coming. But we're so much closer now, we can see the whites of its eyes at this point. And now a lot of people, like, they were poo-pooing me back a while ago, but now there's a lot more people saying, hey, you know what? We can see we're a lot closer. We see the inflation now. We see prices going up now. We can see that it's coming now. Right? We're getting that much closer. And believe me, it is coming, guys. Math dictates it has to happen. The fiat currencies have to become worthless in the end. Now, I was looking at an article from Mexico's decided it's going to have its central bank digital currency. I think 2024. And they're announcing it. They're going to make it so. Well, that might be the agenda for all of the central banks by 2024. And how is that going to compete? How is a central bank digital currencies going to compete with the decentralized cryptographic currencies like Bitcoin? I don't think there's going to be much of a competition. They're no different. When they switch over to a central bank digital currency, they're just going to recreate the currencies they already got, but on blockchain type technology, on the newer technology. It's going to fail just as miserably. And it's actually going to probably increase the speed at which the old currency was going down, because they'll be able to produce all the new currency units they want just pushing a button, and every person probably out there will be connected and have an account with the Fed. And it's just like autonomous money creation. It's just going to speed up the process. So how are they going to fare against the decentralized cryptocurrencies that are limited in supply? Gresham's Law. Anyway, listen, guys. Thank you for tuning into my show. Like and subscribe, And Happy New Year. And many more Happy New Years. And I think this might be a little bit better year than last year. I mean, it wouldn't take much for it to be a better year than last year. This year going out was not a great year. There's a few good things happened. But overall, it was a pretty rough year on all of us. Bye-bye, guys.